John. I think you did a fantastic job. But Mike, now it's your turn. I'm putting you in the spotlight.
Well, look, I've been getting very distracted by Whitemon's fans, so you'll have to excuse me. The heroes that may come out, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure, I was going to say OD might come out, but of course Boom Esports are not going to allow it, so they do ban it out. Conker, yes.
Luckily, you didn't say it then.
Luckily, I didn't say it. Snapfire, Tide, Conker. What else is very popular right now? Weaver could come out. I'm just throwing hero names out there.
banned.
Mirana could come out. All right, John, it's banned. I'm throwing names out. Give me a break.
Yeah. At least he's naming 10, John. All right, come on.
Kunk is
No,
gone,
joking.
so I'm
What is with
already
that fan, though?
out.
What's
I
that
don't
fan
know.
doing?
You got me distracted by the fans. I was distracted by Whitemon eating, and then I was like, wait, Whitemon was eating before game 3 draft and they won. So maybe that's actually the key to success. Whitemon isn't hungry anymore. He's had his food. And he's like, all right, team, now I'm awake. Now I'm ready. Let's do this.
Yeah, I mean,
He's
it's
always
just
eating.
it's the fuel for ignition, right, Mike? It's just
Oh,
eating up.
absolutely.
We've seen. I think he's been eating a lot on cam, which makes me very jealous. There was talk of nasi goreng, nasi.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, mi goreng as well out there. So I'd love some of that, but we can't quite grab it. Next time we see Whitemon, we're gonna ask him to bring some food for us as well.
If we do get a Whitemon interview, you guys have to remind me to ask him what his favorite go-to snack is for drafting.
All right.
That's top of the list. I need to know that information now.
It's just chopped
Focusing
away.
back. Yeah, probably. Focusing back on the draft, then we see Iron
Oh,
Lesh
God.
for
Wow.
T1.
Wow. I mean, we were seeing that in the initial days of the regional finals, and I think Pro Series as well. Io Leshrak's pretty damn devastating, and T1 knows how to run it very well. I'm pretty confident with this opening from T1. I mean, this is something different. Yes, it can be a little bit spicy in the sense that if it fails, it kind of falls very flat. But I think T1's a team that knows how to execute this kind of roaming Io Lesh. It just can be anywhere on the map at any time. But then again, you gave Master FBZ, so now I'm very scared for T1. Wow. Crazy openings.
And I did say, Mars would come out for Boom, so at least I'm
You
1
did.
out of 10, right? 1 out of 2
Hey,
of
you
my
did a
guesses.
great job.
Just 1. But that's great. You got Mars. I think this is more of a deny pick, honestly. Just preventing T1 from having Leshrak, Io, and Mars, because that lane is devastating. Tether plus Overcharge, God's Rebuke just melts enemy cores. It's such an easy lane to manage. You're very durable. I think the worry now is, for Boom, there are a lot of heroes you could run with Io on the safe lane, and they're going to have to ban a lot of that to prevent Gabby from just being overwhelming. Like, this could be our Carl hero on mid. It could still be safe lane for Gabby as well, and we have seen it before, but it's not the most common Gabby hero, so it's very open in flexibility, and I think there's a lot of value in the Io. I think that's something Boom isn't set to counter. There's no Kunkka for them to play with. There could be the option for Disruptor, but they open with Bane. So you don't really have room for Disruptor, even to play with the circles on Mars. You can't follow up with that, because Pause 4 Bane doesn't feel great. Pause 4 Disruptor also doesn't feel great. Not very much Tim's heroes. So I think T1 are very secure in getting this combination off, seeing that Bane first pick.
What are prime Gabby heroes that are going to be perfect to be paired with Io, John?
TB stands out. TB Io is pretty darn good. That's something Gabby's very comfy with. Luna Io could also work. PA Io isn't the best, but it can work out as well. I think out of that, maybe even a Dusa. Like, if T1 wants, they could pick up the Dusa themselves, bring it against Jackie. I mean, Boom already banned out the Wraith King. If it gets left in and T1 manages to snag it somehow, that could be one way to prove a point here.
I actually like the PA. I thought they could run some super aggressive style of draft from T1 with just having the IO relocate the PA in whenever you need to just clean up. Apart from that, though, even TA could come out, right? Like, Gabby just had a fantastic game on Templar Assassin, and I think having an IOTA to just relocate around wherever your team's fighting, it could be very detrimental, and especially when you're going up against this Skem Bane. If you can relocate right behind him and just take him out before the team fight starts, which is what T1 really wants, it could be really damn good for them. So anything aggressive in the POS 1 role for Gabby, I think I really like.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to whenever that hero does eventually come out. So we kind of know what Boom are hopefully going to be banning, right? They're like, oh, how do we make this IO combo as less painful as possible? But T1, what bans are they looking for, John?
They haven't been focusing too much on Yopaj. They take out the Quap and Kunkka, and that's the terribly ban from Boom, which is a great IO combo. I think for T1, they've got a lot of room in... They already have their mid, so they can just remove some things that beat Lush, but there's not much. So this allows them to just focus in on Jackie, maybe some supports. Like I feel like the Grimstroke was a great ban because double grip would have been devastating. They could take care of those big Jackie heroes now. They could take care of the Dusa themselves. That has been the bane of a lot of teams up against Boom with Jackie around. I think that would be a very safe ban because Boom has good follow-up for the gaze. Like the arena plus gaze is such a good combination to have, just locking people in, forcing them to make a choice. And they can't really run away from you as well. So I think that would be probably the best ban for T1 right now. I am keen on how Boom will manage that. Instead, we see the respect ban for Mirana and a Lion coming out for T1. So not only do you have that relocate play, you also have a great burst on the Lion that you can play on top of.
I was actually going to say Lion, and I don't want to be one of those people that say it, but I was going to ask you guys if you felt that there needed to be a setup for a potential Lesh stun. Obviously, my mind works in a mysterious ways because that's not where you see its value, John. But where do you see the Lion value, Mike?
No, I agree with you, Nat. I think that's a very good way of thinking, actually. I think it's great. I mean, not even to set up the Lesh stun, but just to be able to set up a gank. Because you're going to have to relocate Lesh anywhere you want. So once Whitemon or Zephyr find somebody with this line, just stun them up into the Hex. And that's going to buy enough time for the relocate to get to where you are, to just blow somebody up. So I like your train of thought here. I think that's the way to go for T1.
So we're all in agreement. We love that line.
Wait a
but
minute.
Boom, got their hands on Lina and Wind Ranger.
What is this?
Ooh.
What is this garbage? Well, why is this hero in my draft? It's a garbage hero, John. You know it's a garbage hero.
It's Tim's. It's Tim's
It's
Wind
Tim's.
Ranger. What do you mean?
Even
It's
Tim
not
can't
garbage.
make this work, John. You know that.
No, he has. He has made it work. We've seen it before. Where was it where I last saw it a lot? Maybe Mineski Masters, which was like last year. So it's been a couple of months, but he performs in this hero a lot. He snipes. You say the Muranos where he's called Filipino Sniper. I think you actually called it on his Wind Ranger on TNC, where he was just getting all the kills from half the map away. So, Mike, you did like Tim's Wind Ranger. I am holding you up to that. It is a great pick for Tim's. The question is it great for this draft? And that's arguably maybe no. It's not the best AoE stun. Your damage output is abysmal, and Tim's does actually skip the focus fire because it's just pretty garbage tier on a support. Even on cores, it feels bad. But I think what this gives Boom is some early aggression because Tim's knows how to play around this. His Murano is banned. He had to get something else with an arrow. Wind Ranger is pretty good for that. At the least, if you're expecting, say, a physical IO carry partner, Wind Ranger with evasion is going to be able to play in that lane quite nicely. So even if the right clicks are coming out, you're going to be able to trade. You're going to be able to set up for the shackles. It is a PA, as Mike called out, so PA IO is here. You can just drag Gabby around to take these fights. And it's a very secure lane for Gabby. He's got good regen coming through from the IO. And that is actually pretty painful for a Wind Ranger now because you can't even focus fire PA down line. You don't have anything to pierce evasion yourself. You're not going to get the farm. So you don't have magical burst on Boom, and this might be an issue because it's boiling back to the fact that there's so much pressure on Skem to be able to get a good grip with so many stunts on T1. The Bane is actually going to be making or breaking these engagements.
Ooh, all the eggs in one basket, as they say. But Mike, what would you like to see out from Boom to try and fill in those gaps, to try and round out that draft and give them, the draft that they need to be able to take on T1?
Look, I'll be frank. I mean, I called the Wind Ranger garbage. I think they're still fine with the draft. I think they're still a great team fight.
Okay,
I think you're just looking for a solid kind of carry here for Jackie. You don't need to go full aggressive. I think Jackie can take his time, find something that goes into the late game and just farm up. Medusa is somehow still available, though I'm sure T1 will ban it, but you never know. If Medusa was somehow allowed to go through, I'd say Jackie would 100% take that. I don't think there's a need for him to get too involved. Like, he could go for the troll again if he really wants. I think that's a bit unnecessary into the PA. I'd like something like a Deucer. I don't think it's going to be allowed to go through, though. I'm trying to think of another carry that feels good into PA. Just haven't got it off the top of my head, though. Not with Jackie, because he hasn't revealed much of a hero pool recently. It's very hard to know what he wants to play. I'd say like Lifesteal and Leshrac, but I don't even think that's going to work.
Okay, well, where do you sit with that, John, on the side of Boom?
I'd like something fast-paced, because TA still has a farming spike to hit. You have a win condition in your Lina instead, and that's where I think Boom's matchup shines, because we have seen PA up against Lina, and Lina wins, because she is just a ranged PA as the game goes on. You have really great right-click, you've got insane range, you've got magical burst, and you build Silver Edge. You're going to beat out the PA's evasion anyway. I think for Jackie now, I would prefer like a tempo hero here instead, not something that just sits back and farms, something a bit more active. You have a couple of options. Like Slark is something against PA that can be okay, but you're up against Leshrac, so that's not amazing. You could go for some illusion heroes instead. It's also not amazing. They go TA instead. Okay, so never mind. We're going really greedy with this draft now. It was left, but it's TA Lina. These two heroes need farm. I don't know if you're going to be able to enable both of them. You're going to have to shift your farm priority around in this game, juggle around who gets to build up. I think Jackie's still going to take priority on the TA, but the Lina is going to have to be a little bit more active. Like, you might still be able to go travels. You're not going to go long haul Silver Edge Rush. You're going to go BKB or something. Maybe a Eul's instead of travels even, just to match that pace from Lesh.
We go big brain. What about your Page Wind Ranger? And then Tim's take the pulse forward.
You know what? That is something they could do here. They've done that, right? The Yopaj Wind Ranger is a thing. Nah, it's Tim's.
So we were all like, yeah, there's potential. And then immediately, no, it's not happening. Legion Commander as well is going to be that last pick for T1. So, let's talk about that one for a little bit, John, and then I'll ask you guys the generic question that I always ask about predictions.
Let's see. The LC is pretty darn good in purging off a lot of the stuns from Boom. The grip's going to be very hard to pull off. The shackles are going to feel great. I think this is just a great defensive pick for Cuckoo, and it just kind of ties in with a run and gun. You just want to enable your PA to go off. You can just instantly relocate in on a duel, find a kill. The one issue with T1 closing like this is teamfight isn't great, so a lot of pressure on, I assume, Carl on that Lesh to actually provide that control, provide the AoE damage, because that's where their draft is kind of lacking on T1.
Alrighty, and Mike, where do you sit with seeing all of the positions that these heroes are going in and the lane matchups too?
I mean,
wait,
I like...
Wait,
what is it?
Cuckoo PA?
Oh!
Gabby IO.
Wait. Oh, it's a bug.
Okay, it's a bug.
Thank you. It's a bug, ladies. We are remaking a lobby right now. It's a bug, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a Cuckoo PA. Don't you worry.
Oh my god.
We all got excited. We were like, okay, what is going on? Where are T1 taking this? It is a bug. Unfortunately. I'm going to say unfortunately because I would have loved to see that one play out.
That would have been
hilarious.
Something different entirely. Like, Gabby Io? Is he trying to replicate someone who's been rumored to join T1? And we get a remake. I'm disappointed, man. That would have been revolutionary.
Yeah.
It could have been, but it's not going to be revolutionary. So, Mike, with the unfortunate, non-revolutionary lineup, what do you think about both of them?
I mean, look, I think the last pick LC was quite smart into the draft of Boom because they've just got infinite lockdown, so the press the attack's going to have heaps of value. I like where both sides have gone. I think both sides look very comfortable with these drafts. It should be arguably, in my opinion, the closest game we watch between these two teams. So I just think it's very comfort drafts for either side. Everyone's got something they're very happy playing. I'm expecting a close matchup between these two. And quite frankly, I couldn't predict a winner even if I wanted to. It's very tough this time around, I think.
Well, luckily, I wasn't going to ask you guys to predict the winner. I was actually going to ask you guys to predict times again. Yeah. Yeah. So if you actually... two things. Time and death score line for each team. That's how accurate we're going to go here. And I'll start with you, John. Yeah. I'm going to record it too.
Oh, goodness. Time. This could go... Gosh, it's so back and forth with that draft. I would say 40 minutes. Score line, maybe something like 35-30 for either side
Ooh.
who's winning. So I think it would
Yeah,
go that far. The aggression's going to be there.
You could say either team. You don't have to tell me which team. Your turn, Mike.
We'll go 45 minutes, and I'll go 49 and 31, Jonathan. There you go. I'm just going to go right next to you in scoreline and time just to annoy you.
This was The Price is Right. I would be pretty annoyed, but it isn't. So I am going to jump out of here, let you guys get into game number 4 of this grand final between Boom and T1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into our grand final between T1 and Boom Esports. We've resolved the issues. It took a little bit of time, but we're finally here. John, we do have to provide some updates. I'm a bit afraid to provide the updates. Could you please provide the update to the viewers?
We've had an issue with Carl connecting. It turns out maybe he's got complete internet outage or something going on. So we've got Lelouch from Polaris standing in on T1. And that is going to shake things up. At first, you and I were baited at, Gabby playing Io and a Cuckoo PA. And now we've got Lelouch playing as well. At least the game is here. So you don't have to deal with us any longer, as we will come in with our beautiful panning shots from Neff, as you can see. And of course, Pitian on the main cam. I'm just happy that we're finally here, Mike. I mean, even if it's Lelouch playing, I don't know how much this will change. I don't think they've played a lot with Lelouch in an actual team. They must have played together in pubs. I'm sure there's some comfort there. But how much that affects T1, we've got to see. He's playing against Yopaj. And if I recall right, Yopaj usually has a good time there.
Oh, absolutely. That being said, though, Lelouch does play a very mean Leshrac. Now, we can remember Lelouch having some really, really good games on this mid-Lesh. So, yes, it's against Yopaj. Yes, I think he's going to... he's up against a very, very, very difficult opponent, if not one of the hardest opponents to be against in that mid lane. But, I believe in Lelouch v Britannia, John. Right? We could see him pull off a victory here for T1. Let's wait it out and see how it does go, as they might go for a level 1 fight. I love that sticker. The best sticker.
Absolutely.
How could you? You can't steal a banner away from that, John. You gotta give it to him. All right, they'll take it. Boom Esports, they'll take 2. T1 will take the other.
2 for 2. Nothing exciting coming out there. What is exciting is going to be seeing how these lanes break out. Already taking a look at bot, and you saw that beautiful close-up of Master Cuckoo's face. Still, we're going to be seeing the lanes break out. Of course, Jackie's going to be going with Scam, having a peek here mid with Yopaj on that Lina up against Lelouch on his Lesh. Now, as you mentioned, Lelouch Lesh is a beast. It is one of his strongest heroes, but Yopaj on Alina. This is a matchup that can go back and forth. I think one of the most back and forth lanes for Alina, but she still has great range advantage in terms of right click, still has superior right click with a Fiery Soul, and she has the LSA to fight against that split hurt. So I think that's something Lelouch is going to have to manage, and bottles are going to be really important, refills are going to be real important. We'll see if T1 starts to focus on getting those early rotations out to stop Japoy from getting all the refills he needs.
Yeah, certainly so. Lelouch, I think he said in the lobby he wasn't really looking forward to playing, but rather watching this series, and suddenly the poor guy's here. So there you go. See how he does perform. Of course, we'll have a look at the other lanes as well. I mean, we're just looking at bot lane. You've got Cuckoo and Zephyr there against Skem and Jackie. Jackie playing the TA, John, something very different to what we've been seeing the past couple of days. Does this incite confidence in you, this Jackie TA, or do you think T1 has this laning phase?
I think in the vacuum, I do like Jackie TA. It kind of plays to his strengths. He loves to farm, loves to hit some early power spikes. TA plays around that. My issue is he's going to be sharing farm with Japoy down the line. So Lina TA is my one main concern. Both of these heroes need farm. I think in a vacuum, Jackie's going to do fine. The question is whether or not he can get that scaling. Love the aggression from T1, though, with the early sentry applying so much harassment onto Jackie early on.
Yeah, certainly so. Of course, you've got that final lane as well up at top lane. You've got Gabby on that PA against FBZ, and they'll be supported by Tims on the Wind Ranger and Whitemon on that Lion. You seem to really like the fact that Tims brought out that Wind Ranger this game, John. This laning phase, though, is he going to be able to get enough done, or do you feel like T1 have the advantage in this top lane?
It's a bit slower here for Tims. Like, we are seeing him trade with Whitemon, but he plays around that Wind Run. At the same time, a Lion has stuns. So you can't really just directly win there, and I think that's going to hold back on the aggression of a Wind Ranger. You do have some decent combos with a Mars. You say line a spear up into a shackle or vice versa, can find a really easy kill. I think that's something that Boom will want to play around, maybe by their level 3 spike, but for now, first 2 levels for Tim's not feeling great. Whitemon managing to trade just fine, and Tim's is out of regen already, so he's going to have to ferry something out to help him sustain. He will at least get a rotation out to stack, but it's a bit early. He's not going to be in time for, say, a 4-minute rotation onto mid. Looking back at that mid, Yopaj is having a pretty decent time. Very even with Lelouch, so neither side losing out. I think that first bottle refill, or the second bottle refill at 4 minutes is going to be pivotal to see who can eke out a bit of an advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Still no first blood to be drawn here. Having a look back at mid, looks like Lelouch is doing a really good job here on this Leshrac. Like, he's a little bit behind Yopaj, but only by 1 CS. So nice performances. Top lane, Gabby, he's going to drop Tim's. Able to take first blood here on that Wind Ranger, and it looks like Whitemon was actually just missing in action. He was pulling that small cap at the time, and Gabby was just a bit too far ahead.
You have to respect that output of the Wind Ranger and Mars. Lots of magic damage with a power shot if you can isolate that PA. And FBZ already at level 4 now, going to have a little bit more to play with off the back of that. Still, Tim's is not getting as much as you'd want in that lane still. So you are putting a dent on that pause for scaling, but there is some movement out already for that 4-minute rune. We're seeing a lot of heroes here from T1.
Yopaj going to be chased down, but Skem going to be around with the Nightmares. They try to focus down Lelouch, but the Diabolic Edict is going. Still Skem. He's happy to tank through it, and he will continue on to Lelouch with the Dragon Slave. They have enough damage. Zephyr didn't really have the regen to try and keep him alive. So Yopaj able to finally take a kill off Lelouch here, and well, that'll set Yopaj on a very good trajectory.
And we just talked about it. The mid is going to be focusing on that second bottle refill. Neither side finds a refill, but you get the kill on Yopaj. So he gets to have a really good build-up onto his level 6, just lacking some EXP. He is forced to walk home, and that should give Lelouch some catching up here, but he's a full level behind as it stands. So once Yopaj comes back in with a Laguna, you might be ready for some kills to come out on that Lina. And so far, a strong start in the lanes here, Mike, for Boom. 2-0 already, less than 1k lead. You are maybe facing some issues with Jackboy's farming, but he's still keeping up with Gabby. I think the offlaners are just having a better time here. And I think my worry for T1 is, like, if you're not getting a running start on a Lesh, those early aggressive movements that you're looking for with an IO relocate, that early push, might not come out so early. And that's what T1 needs to play around to buy that PA some space here.
Oh, Gabby's having a very rough time. That's for sure. It's one of those things with that support Wind Ranger, like, it can poke and prod very easily with that level 1 Wind Run, and Tim's is, well, like you mentioned earlier on, pretty damn good on this support Wind Ranger. So far, so good at the very least, just making a lot of work happen. As he's going to rotate mid as well, see if he can maybe set up a nice shackle, and Yopaj actually pings out the siege creep, almost hoping that maybe you could shackle this Lesh to the siege, but for now, Lelouch seems to be just fine standing back and getting those creeps up. They might just fight over these 6-minute power runes, those Skem. He's going to be maybe chased down here as Lelouch has popped the Diabolic Edict, but is quite far away from the Bane. Instead, Skem will stick around for the bounty, and Power Rune, it'll be up top, so Yopaj gets the regen anyway. Nothing working out for T1 that time around, and it seems like with their own siege creep, Boom Esports want to start pushing in that mid-tier 1 tower.
Yep, they don't quite have too much Fiery Soul built up, so not the best right clicks coming through here from Yopaj, but that is forcing the supports of T1 to stay mid. So the side lanes have opened up. That's giving more farm out, especially for Jackboys here. I think without the threat of the IO healing up Cuckoo, Jackie's very comfy to just stand in that lane, whereas in comparison, Gabby might be under duress. There's the arena ready on FBC. If Gabby overextends just a tad, you can get that punishment on PA. Still early movements out from T1 with that group up.
Oh, they're going to find the Lina as well. That's a massive pick off, and with the split out there, it should be more than enough to take him down, and it will be, though Zephyr is ironically the one to take the kill on the IO. So, well, there you go. Zephyr takes the kill. First one of the game for him, but more importantly, T1 able to actually take all the stacks away from this triangle, and that allows Lelouch to just really take over the net worth.
And that's where you have to appreciate that vision coming out from T1. Good early obs board, watching that triangle, watching the large camp stacks, preventing any sort of early movement from Boom to clear out, and that helps him bounce back after that death on the Lesh. and just giving a little bit more for Lelouch to play with. Has level 3 Edict up. So if you do give an opening for that Lesh, Lelouch can get a very fast push going.
Skem has been spotted mid lane, but they do not connect the split earth. So now they know exactly where that observer ward is on that cliff, and Tims will take care of it as we speak. Oh, bottom lane, you can still see Cuckoo trying to deal with Jackie, but it's not proving to be that easy. Jackie, maybe not the greatest farm during this lane, but still really up there in that top 4, and should be able to eventually just rotate into the jungle and farm up that instead. I suppose Cuckoo has had a pretty decent time himself in this LC, as it seems like most of the attention is going to be in the mid lane. Power runes will spawn up, and Lelouch this time around will get an invis for himself. You might be able to go ahead and make a gank attempt with that. See if T1 does decide to do so. In fact, the lines have been drawn up towards the top lane. Whitemon already making his run up. We'll see if the rest do join, and the TPs are coming in. FBZ may be the target of this. There's Lelouch looking for a nice stun to set up. There's the blink in from Gabby. They'll go right onto that Mars. FBZ missing the spear as well. A nice shackle though on Whitemon on the backside, not allowing the follow-up stun, but it won't matter. They had plenty of damage there with Gabby, and Lelouch will get the tip straight off the bat.
And that's what we wanted to see. We need to see some movement out from the Lesh. They could transition to a top tier 1 push. Not the biggest tower to take, but this will open up the triangle more, and they're just constantly checking. They see the stacks. They've got the Edict maxed out. They could actually go for the clear, and that's a lot of gold that Boom's bleeding out that they want to give to Jack Boys, and this is not something they can afford. I think they've got to be able to get a better grip on the triangle. Fortunately, Lelouch doesn't feel confident in that prospect, so he'll just play with a large camp instead, but they know the stacks are there. And I think for Boom, that means they're going to have to clear it earlier rather than later. But you're not quite set up for Jack Boys. He's still waiting for the Dragonlance, so we'll see when that moment comes, but T1 have a good understanding of what they need to get done next. There's also some space now for Lelouch to shove in mid. Again, with maxed Edict, you have to be cautious about leaving a Lesh alone too long. Not going to take too long to melt any tower he sets his eyes on.
The top T1 on the siege here from FBZ. Gabby's being pinged out right now. Tim's kind of wanting to maybe go for a bit of a shackle, but doesn't end up trying, as Gabby was just hugging that tower. So very conservative play from either side so far. Just a 2 for 2. I suppose the mid game is around that time where we expect things to get rather explosive from these two teams. So it looks like even Lelouch just more than happy to keep his farm going along with Zephyr. You talked about Jack. Jackie is making his way over to the triangle now and should be able to slowly start clearing out those ancient stacks away. And that he will. If you could time this right though from T1, if you could somehow make your way in, and T1, they do have an observer ward scouting out Jackie right now. It'd be great to steal all this farm away, but it doesn't seem like the rotation's going to come out. So Jackie, he will get away with this. There won't be any kind of contest from T1.
Yeah, just great timing from him. Oh?
There will be some contest for Skem's life. Lelouch does relocate along with the jewel out from Cuckoo. They'll be able to get the Bane down, and it's immediately into that T1 bottom tower. Nothing in the way of stopping it, I think.
No, the side of Boom are more than happy to give that away. They only lose a Bane. They're giving the space out for Jackie, as we mentioned in that triangle. And they're going to find a trade top anyway. Their mid is kept safe. In fact, Yopaj is getting a solo push mid by himself.
Oh, he turned around. Yopaj could be in trouble because Cuckoo just wants to rush him, but you don't have the jeweler. So you can't really lock him down. Still, they do get some nice rotations forced out, but a great Shackles and Light Strike ready to follow up. They might get Cuckoo, and now with the arena, they will try and they will blow him up completely with the Laguna Blade. And I thought that was going to be a very bad set of events from Boom Esports for a second, but they had no way to lock down Yopaj.
Yeah, and that was big. Just because they used that duel on the Bane, they didn't have that opening for mid. Bigger tower for Boom to take, and oh boy.
Yeah. Here we go again. Well, let's hope this time Cuckoo does manage to reconnect. I mean, it'd be pretty bad if they lost 2 of their players on the side of T1. I don't think we can really afford to bring another substitute in. Though I did offer my services to them, Jonathan. I did tell T1 if they needed, I'd jump in and sub in for them. But I suppose they're taking this final seriously, and they'd rather not lose, which is, it's good to see.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you were playing on T1, we had a talk. March would definitely be targeting you for the whip mic. So maybe for the best that you're not playing there. As Cuckoo does reconnect, get the unpause. Tim's in a very compromised spot here.
Yeah, he's already popped the wind run, but that's about to wear off, and Gabby will just dance all around him as the Earth Spike is going to land very nicely there from Whitemon. Gabby able to take his second kill of the game here on the PA. Things still looking very even between these two teams, but nice to see a bit of back and forth.
Yeah, you are getting slight lead with T1 on the kill board, and they are reaching that point where the relocate ganks are going to be constantly piling up. I think Boom has to be able to maybe respond with Yopaj. He's got the travels up. He can show up in any lane to back them up and just keep stalling out for Jackie. I think you are sure giving Gabby some time to farm up as well. The TA is just farming a lot faster, although movement's out from T1 here.
Very scary here for Jackie, though it seems like Lelouch just wants to farm the whole jungle with this arcane rune. So he's just going to get maximum value from the jungle rather than for... Oh, never mind. They're forcing a fight. They found him. Jackie has been caught out. Jewel is going to be there. FBZ trying to make his way in to help out, but Jackie has been fingered down by Whitemon. So now Skem will rejoin the fight along with FBZ, but do they have any form of control? Yopaj, he went too deep. They'll leave Lelouch behind and they'll take down the Lina. Oh, T1 are just rushing for him. Boom Esports, they've got to get the hell out, but it looks like there's no way out as the slows are just consistently flying in onto Boom. As FBZ now being caught by Gabby, and that might just be another kill to go the way of T1.
This is terrible for Boom. Just the aggressive timing from T1 coming true, losing Yopaj and Jackie. Not great news. They need to keep stalling out. They're forcing these fights. I don't think they can afford to. A little nice shackle on Cuckoo.
Nice shackle, but Cuckoo's way too tanky. They just don't have the damage. Whitemon, an awkward miss on the Earth Spike, so Skem, he can go for a nice easy Nightmare onto that line, but help is still around. If they want to keep Whitemon alive, they can, but it does seem like they're leaving poor old Whitemon alone to just die. In fact, a great shackles from Tim's. He found Cuckoo, and now the Fiend's Grip is going to force them to try and fight. They will just stun him up and let it go as they're just trying to run, but Jackie, he'll still chase them down with a great Light Strike Array now. Poison. Zephyr's going to go down on the IO and the shackles. It's not going to land this time, but they'll get a Nightmare out from Skem, and that should set up for another Light Strike Array very soon from Yopaj, as Lelouch now has been trapped up and does go down. 3 drop for the side of T1, and it all started with Whitemon just being chased on the line.
And that's surprising. I mean, T1 won that fight. They took the tier 1 top, not the most impactful tower, but they give enough of an opening for Boom to just respawn. We're still 15 minutes into this game almost. Respawns are still very short. And Boom don't have any long cooldowns at all, so they can just constantly force it back their way if they feel like it. Sure, you're losing space on Jackie and Yopaj from farming, but you're also forcing T1 to run away with her tail tucked between your legs. So you're finding openings here for Boom. At the same time, T1 aren't doing too bad, right? Like, they've almost hit this Battle Fury timing on Gabby. 15, maybe 15 and a half minutes in is when we'd see that up. And once that's up, the PA can keep up with the pace. You will be able to match that TA's farming pace. The beautiful thing is you're not going to be sharing too much farm with a Leshrac, because Lelouch can work the lanes. He's got travels as well. They can play with the relocates. Whereas for Yopaj, I think he's going to be eating a little bit into that TA farm that we've already seen. Jackie is getting priority on the Ancients, but we'll see if Yopaj will need to dip into the jungle. So far, he's been happy to show up in lane. BKB not too far off, and I think that's all Yopaj is going to need to, again, playmate. He's not looking to be that big pause one yet. They are letting Jackie get the initial farm, but down the line they could shift gears as they do go for a smoke plate here.
I mean, Gabby's got the Battle Fury up, and you just saw him just farming that whole Ancient stack very nicely. They're going to try onto Cuckoo. FBZ with the blinking could set up very nicely with the spear. He's got 2 in there in that arena. Lelouch, they're going to try and fight back, but the shackles does lock him down, and Zephyr just immediately relocates him out. As they will focus down Whitemon on that Lion, and they will successfully get him. So Boom Esports biting back here in this mid lane as they'll even find Zephyr. No playing around, they throw everything at the IO, and they will secure the kill.
And they find 2 supports, 1 core, not the biggest core to find. I think T1 are happy with just having Gabby and Lelouch survive, but that's a lot of ground to give. And with the Deso up on Jackie, into the Roche they go. Doesn't take too long to melt it with a right click of Yopaj and Jackie on top. And T1's got to move fast if they want to contest. They don't really have a blink initiation yet on Cuckoo. They already used relocate. So I think they're just going to have to surrender it. 2 lives up on Jackie. He's going to be able to show up a lot faster. And we said this was a greedy draft from Boom. They've actually managed to enable it. Both Yopaj and Jackie are farming really well. So the greed's not really punished at all. We saw those early triangle invasions, Mike, but with the Ancients left alone, it's just fine for Boom.
Oh, Skem's found Gabby. That Observer Ward giving a lot of info here into the Light Strike Array. And Laguna into the spear from FBZ. It's perfect combinations from Boom Esports to find Gabby and take him out. Nothing like a BKB to save Gabby at the moment in those scenarios. And Boom Esports now really starting to feel this game number 4. Even lines being drawn out into the dire jungles. It seems like they want to try and infiltrate. Not 100% prepared for it though, it seems. But Skem will make the walk up on the Bane. Pigs are out though, so just D-wards to come out here for Boom Esports and or T1. They are posturing aggressively, but I doubt they could really initiate here.
Not quite yet. They do have the real kit to play around with, so they can make their way across the map if they see that opportunity, and I think that's something Boom's gonna have to be always aware of. I do love that T1 has these really defensive wards. They're just playing their jungle really well, but Boom's playing away from that vision. They're playing bot now, they're going for a push, both Jackie and Yopaj show up at the same time, and I like this take on the TA. They're playing much more aggressive even without the Blink BKB on Jackie. They're just using that early damage advantage and just forcing the issue every time.
Smoke up Skem. He's going to have his smoke broken, but the slow is there and pings are out onto Lelouch. Shackle only going to lock him down for half a second. They move in, but the arena is there from FBZ onto Cuckoo and Whitemon. He just melts. Even Skem buying back into this fight because he wants to commit that ulti, but 2 already down for T1, and now the trap slow is pretty insane as Zephyr. He's going to get shackled up. He can't get out of there. He's going to drop, and Lelouch is not out of trouble yet either. He's out of mana as FBZ finds another target. That might be another kill for Yopaj. An ultra kill for the Lina, and they'd love a rampage, but Skem was unable to find where Gabby went. Still a 4-for-1 trade, and just no slowing down for Boom.
Yeah, they're just playing so fast, and again, Yopaj and Jackie are actually willing to show up. They're not playing it slow, even though their draft feels greedier. They just hit this early item advantage and just know that they can show up, whereas Gabby can't. Like, this PA needs so much more to grow big that it's putting T1 at the fight disadvantage. Every single time Gabby just runs off and TP in from Yopaj.
Gabby gonna back off, TP away. They looked in the tree line for a second. Yopaj though unable to find the PA. T1 just trying to buy that sweet time here for Gabby. It is a PA after all. At some stage it's gonna be a massive issue. So now the look is on for FBZ, but he's hiding in the tree line and he'll be able to TP out himself. Boom, they might be willing to go again. They've got pretty much all their ultis back up. Jackie already infiltrating that dire triangle again. And T1 in a very defensive position at the moment, but will be forced to fight if they have to defend that mid-tier 2 tower. Miz, with that power shot, they got plenty of vision out onto the side of T1, so they know exactly where they are at the moment. FBZ on this Mars is very dangerous with those initiations. Be very wary here as T1. Jackie will happily take the tier 2 mid. And T1, they do not feel confident. They will not try to force the fight. They'll just accept the fact the tower does go down, and well, naturally Boom Esports now, they'll go right for the outpost.
To go take out the Obs Ward as well, so this is going to open up for the next Roche. Still a ways off as the Aegis is still up for a minute, but they have managed to deny a lot of area away from T1. They're going to go for a smoke again. They don't opt for top. Gabby does TP out, but could be TPing to the wrong part of the map if Boom rotate there.
Well, they're going to find Cuckoo. Be a nice little pick off to get, and they commit the Fiend's Grip. Again, it doesn't really feel like they need to, but why the hell not? Just make sure Cuckoo does get deleted. And this should be in time to try and force the buyback out from Cuckoo. If he wishes to try and defend as Boom Esports are onto the high ground. The tier 3 is melting, and T1, they are not coming back to defend this. They are still split across the map. Maybe just trying to take the time to farm instead, as they know that Boom Esports cannot go for the other lanes of barracks. They still hold the outer towers. That's a massive win here for Boom Esports, picking up that high ground racks. As Cuckoo, well, he says it all, John. It's quite painful for T1.
Yeah, and
Gabby. Oh, this could be painful. Light Strike Array, Laguna out. The spear there as well. Gabby gonna try and just blur and run as Yopaj just TPs away. He's seen enough.
Yeah, think that's heads up because he knew they're probably on the high ground. They're probably waiting on a movement onto that mid a while ago for the defense, so they're in position to counteract them. He just bails out with the BKB running. T1 will go for a smoke. They have to cross that river. They don't have aggressive vision here from T1, so it's kind of blind going into Boom, and they might be able to catch a couple, but it's only the supports up front. Gonna be hard to catch those cores in the back line.
See how they try to get in with the smoke. It seems like Boom Esports are well aware that there is probably a smoke happening right now. I mean, naturally, with Yopage's BKB down, you'd rather not fight as Boom. Yeah, T1, I mean, they'll just kind of head towards that bot lane and try to take over another part of the map, as we are now going to have a pause from Boom Esports. Discord, it's always a Discord issue.
It's the classic Discord issue. The classic Boom Discord issue. Gary, maybe you got to nitro up your server. You know, Gary.
Gary.
You got the iPhones out. You could upgrade your Discord for higher bandwidth. I don't think it actually needs it, but you know what I'm saying, Gary. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, he's been trading those NFTs. You know, surely he's making some money. Gary, you can afford it. Come on, mate. Bit of nitro never hurt. And speaking of iPhones, Jackie hasn't got his yet, John. Apparently, he has to earn it. Does regional finals, does being the champion mean you've earned it? If he was to win.
I would say yes. I would say if this is a win for Boom, that would definitely necessitate a Jackie iPhone. For sure. It has to come out. Everyone else has gotten them from Gary, you know. iPhone spam's been there. You know.
Skem still hasn't got his though, which is rather unfortunate.
That's true. Not sure what
Skem's done wrong, but Skem is yet to acquire his. So Gary's just got to get on the move, I reckon. Sort it out.
Poor Gary. Like, he's haunted by that every single time. The iPhone gifts just come out in his tweets from everyone. From Tim's, from Skem. Only Yopaj actually doesn't bring that up. I wonder why.
It's always the one that deserves the iPhone, John, that doesn't ask for it.
Japoy. Just happy to play good, you know, and just go home, have lunches and dinners with other people, except me.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Well, no, hold on. You're the one who stood him up. He keeps asking you. You're the one being tough to get, which I appreciate, John. I appreciate the strategies there. You know, you always have to play hard to get, Jonathan. You're gonna make them work for it.
Fair.
Well, we have the
I am sick, so no chance. And yep, we're back in the game, 15-8. 9K lead for Boom early on, Mike. Aegis has expired. Next rush in 2 minutes, but Boom are in a prime position to go for that next rush. T1, they're still building up here on Gabby, but I think you and I can agree this early momentum they were hoping for from the Lesh, it's not there. Like, the tier 1 mid still stands for Boom. That's the primary target for a Leshrac to push. The fact that it's still up is not boding well for T1. A lot of the map on Boom side of the river is still under their control because of that. And it's making it hard for T1 to kind of go across into that triangle where they'd love to be, to cut off Jackie's farm, to cut off Yopage's build-up. Instead, they're bleeding out their top jungle as well. They're taking the bot jungle themselves. They are under vision, though. So Boom are aware of where they're at, and that's a very sneaky ward part. Although, sneaky sentry as well from Whitemon spots out of that odd, so they do manage to secure themselves bot, but they might lose a tier 2 tower for it.
Yeah.
As Jackie has the damage with that Desolator up.
Yeah, and they're looking for that next Roshan, of course, for Boom Esports, right? Like, they've already got that dire outpost. They'll take the tier 2 top tower to make it just even harder to maintain that area control around that dire jungle. And this should just ensure that Boom Esports can take a free Roshan once it does respawn up. In the meantime, Cuckoo, he does have his blink up now. So you've got a bit of initiation here for T1. I doubt it's worth going for a smoke because it is quite a late blink, but you may want to try and go for a surprise reveal. Or you may just want to kind of just wait for the next Roshan to come up and try to force that fight.
I feel like the Roshan play is the bigger one. But you have a lot of issues to deal with here, Mike. Yopaj has the full Silver Edge. So he's basically a ranged PA with that soft crit, with a break going through the evasion of the PA if you get that first hit off. And a double damage here as well. Like, Jack boys, pick it up before the fight breaks out.
Oh, it's a bait though. Jewel is going to be there, but FBZ, he read the movement. He's in with
Oh,
the arena, and the
Nightmare.
Nightmare's going to buy time as now they can't take down Jackie, and they'll turn right back around. The Fiend's grip on Gabby, holding him down through the BKB, but Zephyr, he's going to keep that PA alive. Shackles out. They've caught Lelouch. Gabby's still on the run. They'll have to turn for the left right, but Gabby with the fan of knives back in onto FBZ, but the Laguna, Japoy's got him. Into the Nightmare, Lelouch will be relocated out, but the chase is on for Cuckoo, who does take the double damage rune, but it won't mean much, and Roshan has respawned. Would you believe that, John?
my God.
Zephyr is going to have to come back, and will die by the creep wave, and they are right into the Roshan pit.
And this is not going to take long with the damage output of Yopaj and Jackie. Such a great play. Skem definitely deserving that tip. The Nightmare dodge on all of that damage from the finger, keeping Jackie alive. It's such a confusing fight, but both FBZ and Skem salvage it. That bait play with the double damage almost looked good, but Boom was just one step further with the response. So heads up plays from them, going for the Roche now. 14k net worth lead, 18-8. Looks like Boom is back in form here, Mike, as T1 struggling to find what they need. Struggling to make this Leshrac work. We're at the point in the game, 25 minutes in, where your Leshrac's power does feel like it's fading. Again, you didn't take the mid-tier 1. BKBs are already up in some of the cores of Boom. So your damage output is mainly reliant on Cuckoo with the duel to an extent. Mainly on Gabby, really, to get the crits off. And with the BKB first on the PA with no Deso, he just doesn't hit the same as a TA right now. He doesn't hit the same as a Lina. And I think that's something that T1 will need to stall out for. Try to get Gabby to farm. He desperately needs to just burst down these cores, but they don't have the map to enable that right now.
So they're looking around that top lane. Boom Esports definitely looking for that high ground attempt very soon for that second lane of barracks. At T1, they're not out of it yet though. They're going to go for a 5-man smoker. Not that many buybacks to the map at the moment, so this could be a last team fight for T1 if they don't manage to pull it off. They lose too many heroes. Boom Esports, they could go right for the jugular. So they're going to see Jackie. Zephyr keeping his distance, and never mind. T1, they're not going to go for a fight. In fact, they're heading down bot. They're looking for Yopaj perhaps, but he's in the Silver Edge. He's invis right now. Just juking out Gabby. They're still looking around for this Lina. Yopaj seems to sense something is awry because he's calling his teammates down. At least you've got Jackie there. And they are not going to find him. So instead, Boom, they can go for that tier 2 bottom tower, and T1, it seems like they're in for a high ground defense very soon.
Yeah, all outer towers gone. Potential for mega creeps coming through here from Boom. With that Aegis still running, they've got a lot of time of that. And Jackie's very close towards an MKB as well, so the durability on the PA is completely gone. Not only do you have to worry about the break, but you don't even need the break for Jackie to just get hitting him. There goes the high ground. No, you do have the shard up on the Lelouch, so this can be a painful process for the split earth. And that hold from T1 is going to kick into gear. But they're just lacking room to get the farm they need on Gabby now. Like, that Desolator is still a Mithril Hammer away, plus the Blightstone. And that's what they really need. And even after that, it feels like you need more. Like, I still feel like there's a threat from the Bane to get that grip off. And Skem, he's shown us that he can get that right position to just control through the BKB of Gabby in these fights.
Absolutely. I mean, Skem's a real menace. I mean, if there's a guy that you wouldn't really think of straight away for the MVP, but really deserves it, it's probably Skem right now. He's just been fantastic all day, every series he plays in. He's been playing a lot of Bane, but just doing a great job on it. Still, they've got to win out the grand final to really be considered for any of them for MVPs. Spoonman not going high ground yet. They're being very patient. They're happy with the map control they have. Almost 20k worth of a net worth lead here for Boom Esports. As well, T1 again just trying to buy a bit more time for Gabby to get that Desolator up and have a bit more damage output. Doing a great job of just using their Lelouch with that Split Earth to just delay the high ground attempt. Jackie's still going to move in anyway, but there's another Split Earth now coming up. Because why the hell not? They'll keep going, however. We've seen this from Jackie before. He's not afraid to tank all the spells and damage and wait for that perfect time to initiate for his team. But at the end of the day, it's T1 who have to try and respond to this. As Alucia's still chipping away at Jackie and does land a nice stun, and that's going to be the Aegis. That's one great way to start for T1 as Whitemon's ready with the Earth Spike. Are they really going to move in? No, the Nightmare again going to save Jackie. They could not duel him up. Still Gabby, he's going to jump in with the Fan of Knives onto Jackie, but the Fiend's Rip again from Skem going to hold down Gabby through the BKB, but they could not take him down in time. They just keep missing hits as FBZ's going to drop to boot. The finger from Whitemon, able to get it done. And that'll hold high ground for T1. They are not out of this game yet.
Yeah, a bit optimistic there for Jackie to bait like that. You don't have enough throughput from Yopaj, and he did manage to get the break off onto Gabby, so all of those misses were still in play, and he was playing on the low ground. In difficult position for Lina to actually contribute well. Great plays out from both sides. I think the saves from Scam, the grip was great, the arena was good, but the follow-up just wasn't there, and T1 managed to make it work. They're going to be able to find a tier 1 tower for their effort. And that's that nasty objective finally gone and opening up the map more here for T1. Boom are still in prime position, but they need to be cautious on the high ground. The hold of T1 is great, and I believe that was Cuckoo's actual blink reveal. So they've got to be ready for the duel, they've got to be ready for the control. Even if it stalls out with Nightmare, that duel is still painful. Like, you don't want Jackie to be the primary target of that. You have to find a way for Cuckoo to force that on someone else, or just jump the LC in the backline. They will go for a smoke play on Boom without Jackie. You have Yopaj with his damage output ready to go. Let's see if they find something. Gabby would be a juicy one.
Pings are out. They see Gabby in the mid lane somewhere. At least they know he's blew it up somewhere around there, as Gabby does now have the Desolator up, and this is where things start to get very fun here for Gabby, but pings are there. They've got the Nightmare out. No Fiend's Grip to follow up, but Yopaj with the Light Strike Array should be plenty of control, and FBZ will follow up. Whitemon tried to jump in. John, this is such terrible timing, because Gabby does not have buyback gold.
Oh yeah, he finished up his item. He does not have a way of getting back in this defense, and that's going to put T1 in an awkward spot. Oh, Zephyr.
Yeah, Zephyr gets caught out. He does not have buyback gold either, so he'd rather not tie right now. He's going to try and tether, but the Nightmare was ready from Skem. That's going to be 3 heroes down without buyback. Pretty low respawn time is to be fair, but it should allow at least a tier 3 tower into Arax.
Yeah, another push down top. T1 does have to fortify it to stall out for some time, but the creep wave is not being cleared out, and the creep wave is coming through mid anyway. So there's no tower to stop that. And the side of T1, you can't do much without the PA or the IO, so you're going to have to surrender this Rex. 2 racks down here for T1. Boom in a very good position in this 4th game. T1, they need to win this one, Mike, to force it to game 5, but they're still not finding their opening. They still are getting growth out on Gabby. He is working towards his hags. That is the prime Gabby PA item, where he just jumps around, constantly crits, looks for the pickoffs to play with a Fan of Knives. But it's a ways off. And I think for Boom, taking that top set of racks, taking back the outpost, they could just wait for next Roche. We'll see in 30 seconds when that's up. And T1 have to be ready to take that engagement outside.
Oh, big smoke. T1. Still don't have the buyback for Gabby. Could be a very risky fight to take. Still going to try and move in, but FBZ ready to break the smoke. Will break it onto Cuckoo, now realizing they probably are all together, but won't make the jump in yet. In fact, Whitemon, he's there with the Hex down, and Gabby looking to blow him up with the Nightmare again. Going to delay things. They do get FBZ though, but he has buyback. If they want to commit, and they do, they want the team fight as the trap slow is there. Yopaj, he's going to find Zephyr. That'll be 1 down. T1 still just a bunch of men on the run here, trying to get out. Though Gabby thinking about jumping back in, but doesn't do so as the trap slow still going. Tim's now looking for a nice shackle. Not going to throw one out yet. The Earth Spike will hold him back as they keep kiting out, kiting back in after Skem perhaps. But no, they don't commit quite yet. The daggers are following him down, but he keeps juking them out with the Shadow Amulet as FBZ now might reinitiate. Nice shackle. Doesn't really latch, but they've got the spear out, and now the arena catching out 3 heroes. But do they have the follow-up to it? Not quite yet, as Gabby gonna jump back in, but no, that's what they were waiting for. They wanted the bait. Gabby's gone without buyback, and now Cuckoo, he'll follow. Onto Whitemon. They'll find a 3rd. FBZ jumping in, and you saw the patience from Boon, John. They waited for Gabby to jump in so they could take him out first.
Just heads up plays from Boom. The patience for them to chain stun, the patience for them to get the right targets onto the tier 4s. They know Gabby's not showing up for this one. It's all down to Lelouch and the supports to try to hold back. The split earth is making this tough, but Jackie's damage is up there, along with Yopaj. So how much he can do is really up to the air now.
Certainly is. Boom Esports looking to take these regional finals and become the champions of SEA. They aren't going to go all the way, though. They see a double damage. They know Roshan's up. Of course it is.
Oh, boy. As is tradition, Mike. Every single time you and I are together, DD into Roshan. That's the play. And that should be a big opening for the side of Boom. Only one Rax left, only one tier 4 left, 4 T1 to defend. And they don't have forward vision still. They don't have wards around Rosh. They're going to have to work their way towards Roshan to fight. With the DD on Jackie, this is not going to take long at all. Rosh number 3, Cheese, Ag's Blessing, and the Aegis ready to go. That's going to be huge. I think you could just actually hand it over to Jackie. He's got the Shard. Giving him the Ags as well would be massive. Instead, they'll give it to Yopaj. So you've got the BKB Piercing Laguna. He's just going to be able to rip through Gabby even with that spell immunity up.
They're going to try again a smoke-on-smoke situation into the Aegis of Jackie. This could be a very dangerous predicament for T1, but they are desperate right now to make something happen before that high ground push does come in. He's in the front, waiting for someone to show so he can make the jump in. Skem meanwhile, might find Lelouch. They're going to try and blow up the Bane again, and he does go down. A great start for T1, but Lelouch, he gets blown up himself, and now with the Gale back, and the arena, FBZ's in. They get Whitemon down, but Gabby, he's going to try and fight on that PA. He does get the Aegis of Jackie, but now with the silence out, he is locked down with nowhere to go. Gabby, the relocate from Zephyr isn't going to be good enough. Gabby is still in the middle of all this. The relocate does not end up saving, or maybe it does. Gabby does blink strike out and does make it, but it's Gabby versus the world as FBZ continues chasing the PA. They'll buy back on Cuckoo. They are going to try one last time to defend, but Boom Esports, they know this game is looking very, very over as they go on to the Ancient, and the GG has been called. Your champions of the regional finals for the SEA DPC. It's going to be Boom Esports.
Oh my god, Boom. Play out of their minds in this last game, and to be fair to T1, you know, they were playing with a standing, right? Like, they were playing last minute with Lelouch on. Big shoes to fill for Lelouch. He did have a signature Leshrac to fall back to, but you've got to admit, Boom played so well. You can see how happy they are. FBZ just relieved. They finally find that win in the DPC. It's not a major, but they placed first, and you can see how happy their manager is. Zach is up there cheering on. Only Tim's in the team house. There's the high five, but Tim's is just too occupied. It's so big for Boom because this is the team. You talked about it, Mike. They've been cursed. FBZ in particular has been spectacularly cursed. So he's just over the moon now. And props to T1 for bringing a great fight. Game 3 was a lot better for them, of course. Game 4, they just couldn't meet their timing. And Boom just plays so well. Patience to get the chain stunts every time, to get their movement right. The fact that they enabled Alina TA to farm up so well just from having strong lanes. It's just insanity. And Yopaj again just took off in a massive way. And I guess this puts the doubts down for Boom. There was a lot of questions about Jackie coming in. He's fitting in perfectly, and that should be the iPhone for him, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of tough because you know that T1, they didn't have their full roster. They did win Game 3, so there could have been a turn. And I'm sure for the viewers out there, a lot of them are going to have their doubts as Lelouch had to step into the last minute. But Boom Esports clearly deserved the victory here. Again, they are the grand champions here in this regional finals. And I'm very happy to see in particular how happy FBZ was. I mean, it was just not only a sigh of relief, but it almost looked like he was about to tear up a little bit there as, well, like you said, John, he's been waiting a long time to find a roster that he truly thinks can go all the way. And quite frankly, regardless of the DC on T1, I think if there was an international major right now, I think you and I both agree Boom Esports would be putting on a hell of a show.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were heartbroken to hear it for Boom, for all the teams in Southeast Asia, but Boom does prove their point here. And what a day. But we're not done yet. Of course, we'll take a short break. We'll be back with a panel. We'll be back with an interview to break down this game in series.
We are just going to jump straight into it. And FBZ, you're joining us for the interview. Congratulations on the win. Tell me, what emotions are you and the team feeling right now? Can you hear us, FBZ?
Oh,
Oh,
FBZ, Nat was asking, how are you guys feeling there? How are you guys feeling there with after this win? Like, what's the emotions going through your mind now?
Uh, I think game three we are too excited, so that we are like very overconfident. Then we just push without thinking what the enemy gonna do, and then we get punished. And yeah, game four we need to be more calm, need to be chill. Yeah.
Right, and I'm curious, what were your expectations coming in to this grand finals? Because you had to play that series before with SMG. You guys already played against T1. What was the preparation like for Boom in this series?
Preparation, I think we watch the replay and we kind of know that what they're gonna do. Like they always do the same thing, and we try to not let them do that again in the grand final. And yeah, I think it's really good to play against T1 because they're a really good team. And every time we play against them, we learn a lot from them. Yeah.
Right. I've got one more before I hand to Mike. Um, what's your goal further now? Like, you guys win the regional finals. What's the bigger game plan here? Is it TI? Are you guys aiming for a major first? Is the focus smaller or wider after this one?
Um, I don't know. Maybe like fix our weakness. Yeah, this tournament makes us realize that we have a lot of weaknesses, and yeah, we need to fix that weakness in the future so we can play better.
All right, Mike, take it over.
What are your thoughts, FBZ? I mean, obviously, Carl had to leave in game 4 and then Lelouch had to step in. Did you guys kind of get upset about that you weren't able to, kind of fight the full roster of T1? Or do you guys consider this like, it's just whatever, we would have won anyway?
Um, Maybe with the hive car the will be harder. I mean, no, like I didn't offense the Mac, but yeah, I think we just focus our ourselves more than T1. Yeah, we just focus on our gameplay.
Okay, and how have you found the addition of Jackie? I mean, it's been very short notice, but you guys seem to really work quite well together. Do you think things are just going to get better from here? Because I was quite shocked to see how well you guys are coordinating already.
Yeah, I think Jackie is really good at farming, and we need to just make a lot of space for him, and he's gonna carry us.
FBZ, I just want to double check that you can hear me this time around.
Yes, I can.
Alrighty, before you couldn't hear me. But I just wanted to ask, how are the emotions for you guys? It's been such a long day. So where is the team sitting at? And, what sort of exact emotions are you feeling?
I don't know actually. I think that the team is like when we win, like there is no shouting. Like I think everyone is very tired right now, so yeah, they just
Yeah.
wanna get some rest and stuff.
I could imagine. I also wanted to, I guess, open up the floor for you if you wanted to give a big shout out to anyone out there and any words that you have for the Boom fans.
Uh, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the game.
Well, I can't speak on behalf of them, but I know we on the panel definitely loved the games that you guys put on today. Congratulations again on winning the DPC Southeast Asia Regional Finals. You guys are crowned the King of C in 201. So congratulations. Thank you for joining us for the interview.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
FBC giving us that little bit of insight on just, I guess, how drained the team really is. They've played 2 series. They ended up playing 7 games, which is a lot of Dota, especially when you're playing at professional competitive games. But let's have a little bit of a breakdown, a quick one of this bracket that has happened over the past 3 days of a lot of action. You can see that run that Boom made. They got knocked out of the upper bracket, going down to the lower bracket, where they knocked out SMG earlier today in a 2-1 fashion, coming into the grand finals, having it go all the way to 4 games and taking the series 3-1. So big congrats to them. It has been a massive past 3 days of Dota. And John, I want to hand it over to you if you have anything that you wanted to say. We didn't really get our game 4 breakdowns. Anything you wanted to say about the series as a whole?
I think I'm just really impressed with how Boom is playing together as a team. Again, there were a lot of questions when Tino was let go. Like, on paper, sure, Jackie might be considered more higher value core, but you're losing that synergy you had, you're losing that playstyle you had with Tino. I think Jackie's showing us that he can't play fast. Like, his TA game this time around was super quick, and I think he's just fitting in with Boom. That chemistry still holds up. He's a friend of the players, everyone's familiar with each other, and Boom is just going strong. I think for Gary Onko, you've got to prepare those iPhones, because they're going to be asking for it, but they play amazingly well there.
There's no way you're not after winning the season and then coming in and winning the finals as well. But what about you, Mike? Anything that you want to say about this series?
I mean, I think Boom's just kind of spectacular in the way they win. And I think even if T1 had lost Carl in Game 4, I think we were all pretty confident Boom was just going to be able to take it in that Game 4. And you heard FBZ say, like, we realized we messed up in Game 3, but we were going to come back in Game 4 and do just fine. So I think Boom Esports has a very bright future. And like John said, like, Jackie it seems like he can play fast. And I think once they really work on that hero pool and that versatility, I don't know how you're going to draft against these guys. With all their core plays and everything they can play, once Jackie gets a maybe 5 to 10 hero pool, it's going to be very scary to go up against Boom Esports.
You say that like it isn't already scary to go up against them, but I am looking forward to the development that is going to happen with this team over the break. We are going to be returning for Tour 2 of the DPC on March 14th, so mark that one in your calendars for sure, because you will not want to miss any of the SEA action when it does return. There's also going to be the new patch on Feb 23rd. If you guys don't have anything planned for Valentine's, then that's not even the date that you want to look forward to in February. It's definitely the 23rd. And I also want to give another shout out to our partners, Mate and 188bet. They've been a massive help with putting this one on over the weekend. So big shout out to them. And the last and final thing that I have to say is congratulations once again to Boom. They end up taking $50,000 for the team, as well as an extra 250 DPC points. Very important, very sought after. So big congratulations is all I can really say. And that's going to be it from us. That is all of the Southeast Asia regional finals action. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you so much to be on the summit. We will see you guys in March.